Yo, my boy.
How's it, man?
Good, bro. How you doing?
I'm good.
I just wanted to shit on you quickly with this jersey.
Yeah, I'm watching, I was watching Man United and this other team that's playing. I mean, these guys are horrible. Like,
Yeah.
I really understand why they have to play Europa League. I mean, these guys are horrible.
Away,
Like, it's really
Away,
heartbreaking.
boys.
away, voyages, away, guys. It's about fucking
Yeah,
time.
Away, boys.
yeah.
What's up, Porto, bro? How's it?
How's it?
How's
How's
it?
it? Sharp, sharp.
Are you good, man?
I'm good, man. How's it?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. Can't complain.
Yeah.
This is like the season what? Season 3 of these lives. Haven't been on in such a long time, boys.
Shit,
Long
yeah.
time, long.
It's my first one, so fuck, I'm super keen. It's
Yeah,
about
boy,
time.
welcome. Hopefully it's gonna be the first of many. Porter was on one
Yeah.
and then he ended up being on like
All of
90
them.
of 90 of 150. It's just bars, boy.
Kept you.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, let's get into it, boy. So, Porto, yeah, since the beginning, you've always been talking
Yeah.
about polygamy. So, I want to find out what your views are on it and why you feel so strongly about it. I know what your views are, but I want to find out why you feel so strongly about it, and then we can branch out from there.
Well, I think with me, I've realized the fact that much of life recently has been about lying to yourself and convincing yourself that you can do things that you know very well that you can't. Uh, Maybe I think also trying to go way too far away from nature has also maybe brought us here as well, because it's you look at it, you look at how people force monogamy on themselves, man. It's really sad. And then I think it's actually well, it has been working for some time, but I'm not even sure if it was working. I actually think that we just better at lying about it, and then also we did not have the tools to actually expose our our inabilities in terms of dealing with this whole thing. So that's basically it. And then I see every time I sort of start a topic about it, or every time you watch shows like Jola 99, and then many other shows, and then you just realize that, I mean, people are just putting themselves under too much unnecessary stress, and then they are trying so hard to be these things that they will never be.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you're saying then that if you feel as though that you should be polygamous, you should not be forced or socially forced to be monogamous.
Yeah, but then besides that, even you yourself, I mean, you besides the pressure from the society, I think even you yourself should actually be true, live your truth, because the thing is that with people, they will with most men, they will go there knowing very well that they can last 3 weeks. In fact, that they can't even survive 2 days after the wedding.
Yeah.
They already
True.
have pocket relationships. They already have pocket relationships here and there and here and there, and they know very well that this cannot work. And then they still go there.
Yeah.
So why
It's
do you think they go into those relationships? You think it's like again like that they're forced to then get married, but then they go in there and then they get married and then they realize, fuck, nah, actually I still want to play around, and then they do that, and then it's like,
I think besides that,
Conditioning.
the idea that every man should be married or every woman should be married as much as it is an idea that I see that it comes out of order. It comes not out of order. It comes from order, from trying to maintain order. But then we cannot deny the fact that there are people who are just not disciplined. They cannot be disciplined in dealing with one woman. They cannot be disciplined in dealing with two women. They cannot even be disciplined in dealing with themselves.
Yeah.
And then we have sort of more, as a society, we have morphed into a society that requires even much more self-discipline, because there isn't that, for example, that support of the family, that much support of the family. I'll make an example. Most of us are in the cities, and then our families are back in the rural. Some of them, your brother maybe is in another city, and all that. So we are so far apart in such a way that it actually becomes impossible to have a support group that's gonna sort of rally behind a support group that's gonna rally behind one thing as a family as well, because before such deficiencies like the lack of discipline, for example, could be hidden by the fact that you had a family that was gonna sort of treat you not that was not going to approve of some of the things that you'd normally do. And then for you to fit in, to be part of the group, you had to sacrifice some of the habits that make it hard for you to continue being part of that group, or move. And then it was hard again to move to another society, because now which other society or family is going to accept you with those deficiencies or those bad habits that you have from your own family. So it was sort of, not only was it incentivized to actually be disciplined, but then it was also easy to sort of craft craft or mold a family in which those values can be easily hidden if they are just too much, it was easy. But for now, you need self-discipline more than enough, more than before. Because I mean, look at what happens when let's say for example, you are coming from a family, an organized family, and then you are sort of the black sheep of the family. It was easy for them to hide that. And then if you had a problem with doing dishes and stuff like that, you knew that, okay, there was going to be maybe a family member that was going to push you or do such for you. But then now, if you are in Joburg or you are in whatever city that you are in alone, and then you lack discipline, and you're fucked. And then over and over. So because of that, and then it actually makes it very, very difficult even for some people to actually still claim or want to form associations or unions such as marriage, for example. And then the same goes both ways. No, it's not just men, it's also on the side of women. But then they keep on sort of pushing these things, like jumping onto these things that they know that they are going to fail on the first day of it. I mean, I can't tell you how many stories I've had. In fact, just go to any anonymous confessions page on Facebook or whatever, or listen to the radio. They will tell you about people that basically cheated on their husbands or on their wives on the night of their wedding.
Okay, so what are your views, NK?
Do you think, I wanted to ask, do you think polygamy is something that one needs to believe in? Like, do you think it's like for example, a religion? You have to say, okay, cool, I believe in this thing. Whereas if you don't believe in it, then it doesn't exist. Do you think it's something that people have to consciously say to themselves, I believe a person needs to have more than one wife? Or do you think it's one of those things that are just naturally like that? Like, you don't have to believe and say, oh, by the way, in my culture, we believe in polygamy. It's like asking someone, do you believe in the stars? It's like, the stars are there, man. I don't have to believe in them.
Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with belief, because even if, let's say, you say you don't believe in it, I think it all has to do with well, there's a lot of factors in it. Of course, I cannot rule out belief in it. It's also part of the reasons, and as it's also part of the reasons, or of the motivations, or the reasons why someone could be involved in such. But yeah, there's many factors. There's biology. There's biology. There's discipline. There's maybe sometimes the mission. Sometimes someone's missions requires him to be able to actually look into that route, for example. And then it also comes with belief, because there's also belief as well. So I cannot say that no. I cannot say yes or no, but it's part of the factor. And then now we come to the reality of things. And then when you look at the reality of things, I mean, how many families or how many guys do you know, for example, who would tell you that I'm married to this woman, and then you just scratch a little bit deep, and then you hear stories that, okay, this guy also has maybe 2 other kids outside of that, before or during or even after that. And then you hear also the same thing with women. I think it's actually even more rampant with women than it is for guys, because the fact of the matter is that there is as much as we know. For example, you and I know that as much as there are many, for example, baby mamas, but there aren't that many baby daddies, because if you look at the fact, you find that there's very few. There's a limited number of men who can actually attract and get and even impregnate a lot of women on the other side. And then you'll find that actually a lot of women are sharing the same baby daddy. So that's basically what is happening. And then that is also the reality of the situation. It's not like every woman has her own baby. You find that even that baby daddy that they share, and then he's also still gonna maybe move on to another relationship and stuff like that. So you just look at those realities, and then you try now to craft a family you try to craft a situation whereby such things won't exist. And then you're like, this is what it's been for the longest time. Unless you're gonna be very, very, very harsh and strict with your rules, then you can be able to sort of capitalize on the faith part, which is, for example, what I would assume the Islamic religion is doing, because they are very, 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 very strict and specific about some of the things, and then they're specific even about the number of women that you can be able to be involved with. And then they also enforce that in such a way that if you break some of the rules, then they can no longer consider you part of their society.
But I mean,
yeah,
if
which
we're
does
gonna
bring
say,
order, then, doesn't it?
Yeah, there is definitely more order. But then, as much as there's more order, you also have to look at some facts. The fact that, for example, if you look at in most Islamic societies, and then you compare that with South African societies, which are very, 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 very diverse. Like, for example, in South Africa, your neighbor behind you could be a Protestant, and then you could be agnostic, and then on the other side, the other neighbor could be believing in something that is totally different. So it's actually very, 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 very hard and actually impossible to build communities around such people that are so diverse. In order to be able to build communities, to build families, and then from families to communities, from families to extended families to communities to nations, you actually it's very, very important that people be homogeneous, because then they either have to be homogeneous or they either have to have shared common goals that, okay, as a community, this is what we want. But then it's very, very impossible to have that, like in a community like South Africa, in a country like South Africa. But if you look at, for example, predominantly Muslim societies, or predominantly Jewish societies, predominantly whatever Indian society, you would find that it is easier for such things to become part of the law, because it's almost, well, plus minus 80% of the people believe in one thing, that okay, this is the direction that we're willing to take as a society, and then that makes things easy for them. But then for South Africa,
Okay. Alice, what do you think about polygamy?
Do you want the female perspective?
Yes.
Talking about the religion, and it's very actually interesting because it's like 2 days ago or yesterday or the day before, I spoke to a boy who is a Muslim, and he explained to me that the polygamy in Islam, or we call it polygamy, they don't call it polygamy. For them, it's like kind of like not normal, but natural to have
Yeah.
more than one wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he explained that it's basically from the history, because obviously women stayed at home with kids. What happened during wars, because there were like many fights here, many battles, they became widows. So thanks to what they have in Quran, that a man can have 4 wives, but he has to provide equally to each one of them. So they married for the second or third time, but they usually married someone in need. So it was not like out of love or because they were forced to from their parents, but it was more like for the society. It's like, and I can take it for our culture, like if you have a family member who is dying and you just cannot take care of the person, so you try to find the best facility with the best doctors, with the best nurses who can take care of him. So they see it different, or at least in the history, it was different. Like, of course, there are other examples and other men, again, talking about Muslims who are allowed to, and they did it because they just loved 2 or 3 women. I don't know. But nevertheless,
So-
it's very expensive. The question is a person able to love more than one person?
100%.
That is true. Yeah. Yeah.
So
a person
there's
very
quite
much
a few
capable of
things
that.
there, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a few things that I also want to touch on. So, okay, you mentioned the Muslim part, which is one. What do you think of polygamy in the Western world? That's one. Oh, that's two. The third one is, what do you think of polygamy the opposite way around? So, as the female having males, so the female marrying more males than the male marrying more females. And then the fourth one is, or the fifth one, doesn't matter, but why do you think it requires so much money? Why do you think polygamy actually requires cash? If it's about love, why do you require cash?
No, I was with the money. I was talking about the past and why they and even present. Like they have to provide the women equally. So if one gets, if you as a husband buy car to wife number 1, you have to buy the car to wife number 2 and 3 as well, because you have to treat them equally. You have to spend time equally with them. So. But in Western world, and what I see now, something I don't quite understand, but I feel that it's like is they started calling it polyamorous relationships. For me, it's the same as polygamy. Like, I'm sorry, it's the same thing. It has just a different word. But it's like a fancy word, like I'm a polyamorous person, which basically gives me the right to love and be and spend time and be socially active and sexually active with other people of the same gender or different gender. And my partner can do the same, or we can even share the third person.
Yeah.
Because we just love each other. It's like a triangle, which like a working triangle, working whatever rectangle. I don't know. It's blowing my mind now.
But that's the difference. Polygamy is you have let's say 3 wives. Those 3 wives aren't interacting sexually with each other. Whereas polyamory, if I'm dating a girl or a guy and a girl and a guy and a girl, 2 girls or two guys or whatever, we're all having a sexual we're all into each other. It's not like I'm married to them individually. We're all one thing, and that's what polyamory is. It's like if we all four of us were in love with each and every one of us. So if we're having sex, we're all having sex together. We're basically in a relationship as all four into one. Does that make sense?
Isn't also the
It
difference
sounds like a big swinger party.
Hey, it sounds like
a big swingers party.
It basically is.
Yeah.
It's basically a swingers party for three people who are committing to each other as a triplet or whatever you call it.
Isn't the difference between polygamy and polyamory that in polygamy you're married and polyamory you're not married to all of them?
You in polyamory you are dating all those people. You guys are all dating together. So if I have a first wife,
you're not married though. So you can be married to one person, but you're not married to two more other people. Whereas in polygamy, you're actually married to the people. You're not dating them. So you are married to everyone in that circle. Then you are polygamous. Because then if one of them you're not dating them, then you're just cheating.
Exactly. So with polygamy, the way I see it is that I have a first wife, right? Let's call her Alex. And then I have a second wife, let's call her Martha. Martha and Alex aren't together, right?
Yeah.
They're not together.
But even if they are together, it could be still a polygamous relationship and also a polyamorous one. Or you can say a swingers, because at the end of the day, you're still married to them. They're not married to each other, but you're still married. So legally, you're married to them, and therefore you're in a polygamous relationship. Whereas polyamory is strictly, there's no marriage there's no marriage more than once between all of you.
It's all of us together, yeah. That's the major difference. I guess polyamory is an extension of polygamy, because it's the only difference is that everyone is together. Everyone is together.
Well, the nice thing about it is the fact that when you try to dissect it, you can see how confusing it is. And you can see how when you bring up these terms, it's almost like someone sat there and said, well, how can I define cheating? How can I define actually doing something that I don't want to do, but have it in a nice way?
I was like Upoto was saying something about trying to say that the reason why, the way I understand is that the reason why people are polygamy is natural is that all the definition he was making is that a husband gets married and then he cheats, and that's why it's polygamy. Is polygamy then down to cheating? Isn't it? Like, why are we defining it like that? But I'm a man, and if I marry someone and then I cheat on her, I should be polygamous. Where it's like, you're just a cheater. It's got nothing to do with you being a polygamous person, because it's just down to the discipline that you have. If I'm dating you, I'm with you. I don't have to cheat on you, and if I'm cheating on you, I'm just a cheater. I'm not a polygamous person.
I think maybe to sort of control the argument, to control the topic, because I see that we are gonna go in too many different directions and then end up nowhere. So I think it might be very, very important for me, for example, to explain exactly what I meant by what I said. The reason why I said I understand the element of cheating, the element of lust. You see, in fact, I'm gonna link cheating mainly with lust here, and then I understand the element of lust. And my definition of that of polygamy is not based on lust. It's not based on, hey, I wanna have sex. Basically, you can put sex aside. It's based on just as marriage. With me, marriage is not something that is based on it's not even based on love. It's based on duty. Then duty, common mission, and then duty, common mission, and common values. It's not even love is not even part of the picture there. So that is basically my point. So I'm just saying this so that so that you don't misunderstand me in some of the terms, for example, in some of my explanations, because I think I said this. I even said this maybe to Mo. I think we were speaking to Mo that when I was explaining to her that it is very, very much possible for people who don't love each other to be in marriage. It is very, very much possible. But then for that to happen, they have to, just like the fiber in every relationship, the backbone of every relationship is having a shared goal, and then is having a shared goal or common mission, or and then understanding the duties in those the duties, for example, in those arrangements. That is something that can just as you have a boss, a relationship with your boss, you don't necessarily like your boss, but then you want the same things with your boss, even if maybe you don't want the same things exactly, but then you understand that him winning also will also translate to sort of you winning, which is also which I also believe that it's a much higher way of understanding relationships. It's basically how the royal family has been there. For example, all the royal families, and then the big sort of oligarchs that have actually managed to retain their wealth and dominance over the world for so long. They understood, they transcended the idea of love as a backbone or as a fiber of marriage. They understand the idea of duty as that. So which is why they would not just marry anyone that they feel tingles for. They will have to marry someone that meets those that understands the mission that they are going to do. Because I mean, if you are pulling that direction and then there's someone who doesn't even understand why, or that is not even pulling in that direction, even if no matter how much you love that person, the whole thing is just gonna collapse, because it's like going to be pulling backwards or drilling holes in the ship that you're trying to ride in that direction. So that's basically what I was saying. So even with for example with the I try to shy away from the sort of the polyamorous, the fun part of this. I'm sort of more focused on the duty part of this. Why people were doing this, and then why people were doing this, and then under what circumstances can we say, okay, this is necessary. And then which is also why I put aside the idea of lack of discipline. You cannot say that, for example, you qualify to be in a polygamous relationship just because you love having sex with too many people. It could be that you love having sex with too many people because of a deficiency, which is maybe a lack of discipline from your side. And then that is dangerous for you, it's dangerous for the people that you are also getting involved with, which is why, as I said again, both marriage, whether it's monogamous setup or whether it's a polygamous setup, they all require, in fact, all relationships, they all require discipline, a great deal of discipline, you see. So there are people that are actually very, very, very impossible to sort of to be in a relationship with, because they lack the fiber, one of the most important fibers of any relationship, which is discipline.
Okay, but if you think that, then basically what you're saying is that we are born polygamists, but with the discipline, we kind of like put the genetics aside, and just because we're disciplined, we are not polygamous. That's how I receive it.
No. Discipline. We are polygamous, but then I think we are prone, for example, to have sexual relations with maybe multiple people. But then discipline is basically what separates us from animals. It's because remember, animals act on impulse. Animals don't necessarily act on discipline. They act on impulse in such a way that if they are scared, they are going to run away. If they what do you call? If you scare them, they're going to run away. But then humans operate on basically is what elevates us maybe a little bit a step higher, or maybe 2 steps higher than animals, is that we are able to actually control our impulses. We are able to set aside our emotions and then put them aside, and then be able to focus on the common good, or on what we are not
How
like
would you
kids.
then define polygamy? What would you say polygamy is compared to monogamy?
It's defect. So okay, it's definitely going to be a marriage. It's definitely going to be a marriage with more than one person, and then which I believe that is also going to require much more. Yeah.
Is it a marriage for more than one person, or is it an interaction more than one person sexually?
Marriage.
So for you, polygamy is if you're married to more than one person, you're polygamous. And if you're fucking more than one person, then you're just a person who's fucking more than one person.
Are you? Yes, you're just a person who's dating.
But then what's the difference? The difference is that purely that you're married, because it's the same thing. Because the person who's married to 5 people is fucking 5 different people. The only difference is that he's married to them.
It's the same thing.
You could not. It's possible that it's possible that you can be in a relationship with them and not fuck them.
But then it's not like really like a relationship.
Yes, because the thing that we just have to understand that fucking alone does not just necessarily make a person married. You could be married, as you said, for example, with the Muslim, that when they marry, for example, sometimes they marry out of I forgot the term that you used, but then that out of need, not out of lust, out of need, not out of lust. In such a way that in some cases they would marry maybe to join families. In some cases they would marry because maybe the woman is a vulnerable member of the society, and then she needs to maybe to go under the protection of a family, and then to be. So it is marriage. They understand the duties that are required. Maybe even there's plenty of reasons why before such. In some cases, actually, it was also maybe to unite, not necessarily to unite even wealth, to unite countries. I mean, we have got cases of I'm trying to think of quick examples of where marriage was not necessarily for lust. You could say people were not even fucking that much, or did not even like each other that much. Like your arranged marriages, for example. They were not necessarily done so that you can just come and have someone to fuck, easy. So, but then they were done because of many other reasons, and then of which fucking was not necessarily the main part of it. Even if it happens, even if you are supposed to do, but then that was not the main point, that you were just there to fuck. It was not for pleasure.
I think this is the question I think Alex is trying to understand, is that that's why she asked then, is it possible to love more than one person? And in that sense, if you're loving more than one person, are you being polygamous, or are you just a person who's loving more than one person?
Well, it is possible, but then let me, for example, let's say break it down from the men's side. I'm gonna speak from the men's side here on how we translate the word love, and then also maybe I'm not gonna speak too much on women, but then I'm also maybe gonna try. She will correct me if she. With men, loving means accepting duty over something, over someone or something. I'll make it for over someone. But accepting that, because at the end of the day, I can say that I love someone, but then as when I say it, just remains a word, a sentence, a statement that I love someone. Now the duties are the ones that are going to sort of display whether what I'm saying is true or not. If you say, for example, you love your wife, but then you marry her every day, and then is that really love? No, of course. But then if you understand that, okay, I'm in a relationship with this person, I'm in a marriage relationship with this person, what are the duties of a married man to a married woman, of a married man to a married woman? Of course, then that's where the hard work starts, because now we're like, okay, I will have to provide for this person, I will have to be there when this person needs me, even if I don't like it. So the word love in that case has an element of sacrifice, of duty and sacrifice. It's not just a romantic word that you say for someone to feel happy. And then even if you don't say it, but then if you keep those duties, then you are doing it, you see. So it's not just a way. And then that is how I understand it as a man, that if, say, you love your children, that means it's not necessarily the fact, it's not necessarily you having some, well, tingles over, or like some tingles over them, but then it's also you bearing the responsibilities of that commitment, that you're going to be able to dedicate your life to these people. You're going to basically sell or cut pieces of your life, well, not literally, in order for the benefit of these people as well. So it's an act of love, is an act of sacrifice from that point of view, you see. So it's not just a feeling, it's also backed by action.
So I knew a guy, and that's a very interesting thing, because he was not Muslim, he was actually Christian. He, from what I know, he prayed every day, regularly went to the church, came from a religious family, married, and was really in love with his wife. But even before they got married, actually, he told her, "I will never leave you. I'll always love you. But I know myself.
I gotta keep fucking these bitches, man."
Yes.
Because is that then polygamy, or you just a cheater? What do you call that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I
What do you call that?
But they have actually. It's the funny thing is they have 5 kids together.
Yes.
They're happy together, but she knows that once he's attracted to a woman, he needs to get her. It's like, I don't know if it's like, and again, that's why I was talking about the DNA. Like, it's like a prey, you know, and
yes, exactly.
Then he has like 2 relationships, one with a man, and because he's from the West, he's from the Western countries, he's not Muslim, so he cannot, even if he would be in love with 2 or more women, he cannot marry somebody else because he already is married, so it would be illegal. But
is his name Ted Bundy?
I'm not going to say that.
But that's why I'm asking the definition of the word.
It's Jeffrey Dahmer for sure.
It must be Dahmer. It's Dahmer. It's Dahmer.
You have to have it. He's a predator.
But you know, for me, what I as a woman don't I don't believe that men are bigger cheaters than women. I definitely don't believe that. I think it's like 50-50. I wouldn't say that men cheat more than women.
It is actually 50-50. They just cheat.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But what I don't understand is his wife, really. Like, even before they got married, she said yes. She knew what she's like, what she should expect, and then like sometimes she got really upset because obviously you cannot really hide it for long. So people started like seeing that he was having affairs, and of course like it like somebody then told her, and she was like, yeah, I know. And
sorry to interrupt you. And then, like, I just needed to answer the question that I'm sorry, man, I forgot your name. I'm really sorry.
Ngosnati.
Yes, Ngosnati. The question that Ngosnati said is that is the guy cheating or what? Well, the guy is not cheating. That's the first thing that we need to know.
Or he's cheating openly.
No. He's not cheating, because if you say, I mean, let's look at the meaning of the word to cheat. It means that it has to do with something that is hidden at the back, that is hidden, and then that is not known, that is not discussed. That is you are basically stealing. I can link it with the word stealing. But then here you are confessing.
But if you're married, that's part of the vows, is to not do that. So ultimately, even if you tell your wife, look, I'm going to go with this chick, and she says, okay, cool, you're still cheating on her, but you're cheating on her openly.
Exactly. So even if you have a first wife and you ask her to have a second wife, you're going to be, you have to, you're cheating. You're cheating. That's because you said to her, it's only me and you at that point. And then later you were like, oh, I saw a nice hand there. Ooh,
and I think that it's just because of your conscience. Because, okay, but yes, I cheated on you, but I told you. So it's okay. It's not.
Okay. There is, of course, there is a point whereby you're cheating. If you tell your wife that it's you and you alone, and then you and you alone, and then we are going to be together alone, and then you go and then you deviate, you do something that is the opposite of that, of course, then you are cheating. Because you said one thing and then you go out there and then you are sort of in breach of your contract.
Not cheating.
But what if we come to a situation whereby you tell your wife straight that I'm this kind of a man, I'm a polygamous man, and in your vows, because there's another thing that we need to understand about the vows, is that they are not fixed just on the vows that the Bible has made, or that the Bible in such a way that for example, currently we are arguing based on the fact that we are basing our vows on the fact that these people agreed that it's just gonna be me and you. What if it's not the case? What if they say that, okay, we are going to get married under these terms and then these terms, but this is what also I'm going to do.
Yeah, so if you say that at the vows, that's fine. You know, whatever, like a contract, right? Like if you write a contract with someone and you say that these are the terms, but you also get an extra day off, and you take that extra day off, then you're not absconding from work. You already agreed to that. But what we're talking about, or what I'm talking about, is that if you then say, look, this is a contract, and then later on go to the chick and say, look, man, I can't stop with these bitches, man. Like, I gotta keep going. Then all of a sudden you leave her in a position whereby now you know that she's already working for the company that she's in, already signed the contract, and for her to alternatively leave is going to be difficult. So even if she says yes, it's like, well, what other option does she have? She can't terminate the contract because then she's liable for the problems. So that's in that sense, then it's an issue. So I can understand it from that point of view. If someone says, look, man, like what she's mentioning now with this Jeffrey Dahmer guy is that, look, we got married and we're cool, right? And then all of a sudden, as time went by, I realized, you know what, man, I gotta hunting. That's what I gotta do, right? And then she goes, well, look, I'm 40. I got 5 of your kids. Like, as soon as I divorce you, where the hell do I end up? I left my job. I've left this. I've done that. Okay, cool. Do what you have to do, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like, well, what else is she going to do? Or what else is the other person going to do, right? If you spring that up on, if that other person, if she said, no, baby, you cheat. It's fine. You can go cheat without you mentioning it. Then you can say she's the one that amended that contract. So therefore, it might not be cheating. But if you suggest it and you know that the position that she's in is going to be a position where she can't do anything, then you can suggest anything. That's almost manipulation in a sense. Yes. Right? Because where's she going to go?
Here's my question again with the definition of the word polygamy. Are we defining it? Are we saying that polygamy is only when you have a wife and another wife and another wife? Is it a marriage thing, or is polygamy just having more than one sexual partner?
Well, the thing is, it's illegal. Like, polygamy normally is illegal. So as I understand it, like, you know, if it, like, when you put it together, then what I think polygamy is when you, like, when you have more than one, let's say, part. They are not in contact with each other and they're not involved in any way with each other. Whereas polyamorous relationships, it is a mixture. It is when you have 2 female, for example, two women, and they can also interact with each other. So that's not polygamy, that's polyamorous relationship.
Yeah. But you know what? So sorry to interrupt you. I also I think I also don't want us to get into an English debate. I want us to get into the core of the issues, not an English debate, because now, well, one is saying this and then one is thing, and then we end up now arguing the weights. And then while we could actually set parameters and agree with us, what does this weight mean for the four of us in this conversation? Because if we are going to, we can argue until next year if polygamy is going to mean something for you. I'm also willing to lose my definition of that, or my definition of that, if for this conversation, then we can be able to agree that, okay, this is what this means. This is what, I don't know if I'm making sense, but then I think because now I also don't want to also fall into a trap of arguing about something and then being confident in it while you understand the word to mean something totally different from that. And then at the end of the day, we're just talking, basically.
Because I mean, I believe in polygamy,
I think
for example.
I think for me, like I said, polygamy is if you're one person married to a lot of people, then you're polygamous, and they are not in any other relationship. And they are not in any other relationship. So actually legally married. And then if you're polyamorous, is that you can be married to one person only, right? But then you have relations out of that openly with that person, and they can have relations openly with another person, and so on and so forth. That's how I understand polyamory.
Okay.
I mean, same for me, exactly. Like it's that you're married.
As soon as you're married to more than two people, in a polyamorous relationship, then you are polygamous with those two people.
Yeah.
And then every other person then can be in a polyamorous relationship with you or cheating with you. But as soon as marriage is the defining factor for me, that as soon as you're married, then you've committed. Then that's a legal binding clause. If you're polyamorous, you can then leave the person and just go with someone else tomorrow. Then it's done. There's no connection with you guys.
So basically, polyamorous is like open relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say an open relationship
that you know,
can or cannot include marriage.
Yeah.
I would define it that way. I don't even think the polyamorous people could even define it, because they just need a reason to fuck around and not be married.
People, yeah.
To fuck other people and not be married.
It's just an cute smash.
I think that's exactly that. Like, if you're in a polyamorous relationship, then you only married to one person. If you're married to more than two people, or married to more than one person, then you are in a polygamous relationship with those two people, and whatever else they do, you can also still be polyamorous.
I think then the question is, are human beings naturally monogamous or naturally polygamous?
Yeah, that was what they are
naturally polygamous.
I would say polygamous as well. Because I mean, like, look, you date until you then want to marry.
Yeah, but you usually date like one person. I'm not saying that you never cheat. Like I think like everybody or most of us have experienced, like, and most of us cheated once at least in your life. So we have experience with that. But like if we were programmed.
So you could say you date more than one person. But like, it's like you date more than one person, and then when you see someone else that you could date, you then prevent yourself from dating that person.
Yeah, but even when you're dating two people, like, I don't know about your like male perspective. From my perspective, when if I were dating two guys, I would be always like thinking about which one is better for me. I would be willing to let one go.
Naturally then polygamous or naturally polyamorous until you pick someone, and then you say, okay, I'm going to stop then.
Yeah, but it's like a selection, you know, like even animals, like you best breed, you know?
Yeah, but here's what happens. I think, because with for example, with the biology of us as human beings, there's the evolutionary element of it, and then there's the natural element of it. The natural element of it, well, will deal, of course, our being, our genitalia, our also capabilities and all that. You see, the fact that a man can be able to actually have sexual relationships and impregnate and procreate with more than one woman at the same, with more than one woman, well, at the shorter space of time, allows the man, also dictates that a man can be able to be polygamous. And then on the other side, with a woman also, I think you can well, on a normal basis. Well, there are those cases whereby you hear stories of one woman who got impregnated by two guys, and then the babies are different. But then on a normal basis, you would have to carry one child for one man, you see, or maybe yes. So that's what well, biology has dictated that we be, you see. And then now you come to, and then that already confirms that a man can be polygamous. And then now we come to the evolutionary part of it. That okay,
but that doesn't really confirm it though, because even if a woman would get pregnant, they still fuck around with someone else. It's not like they're
exactly.
So in terms of
yes, I agree with you there, because even if that can happen, then that means she can still fuck around, and then she can also still say that okay, just as it is happening now, that okay, I'm pregnant with your kid, but I don't want you, and then now I'm gonna go and then pin this child on someone else, or I'm just gonna pin this child, or I'm gonna make some guy a stepfather to this child, It's also meaning that both sexes, it's just that one other sex has to actually wait longer, and then while the other sex can be able to do that at a faster rate. But the fact of the matter is that
if pregnancy is involved, yes,
if pregnancy is involved, because yes, and then now we come to the evolutionary side of it. That's where the society also puts in. That's where the environment comes into place. The society, as in how people relate with other people, come into place, and also that's where the biology also comes into place. See. So now on the evolutionary side, there's a lot of things. So human beings have always evolved, and then the evolution of human beings has also always had to do with the preservation of just like any other animals, with the preservation of their species and securing the longevity of their species, and also allowing for things that can actually and eliminating things that can actually make the civilization sort of crumble, or their species sort of die out, or what you call go extinct. So now that's when all these other things came into place. That okay, humans were like, okay, what happens when a woman dates let's say 5 men, and then it was understood that. And then that whenever men are involved, there is always an underlying opportunity for violence. And then because men are violent and they're also territorial, they are likely to kill each other. And then as a society, we don't want to kill each other. Of course, we did before. I mean, there's time whereby many times whereby people have had to kill each other. You see? And then in that way. And then what was the best solution? The best solution was for that, okay, as a society, that means if I well, even natural, even the animal, even the animals, other mammals also employ the same strategy, because they are also affected by evolution as well, in such a way that then it becomes a matter of the strongest man. Okay, in these 5 men that are there, then if he can fight all of them, the winner then is gonna emerge and then take the woman. You see, the other ones, the winner, the other ones, they're gonna have to, yeah.
So the winner is the strongest, or the the one that wins. Not that like before you can then decide who the strongest is, because there's many ways. Like we can all be strong, and then the weak guy wins, and therefore now he's the strongest.
He's the strongest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly my point. Yes, the winner becomes
Which is
the
what a
strongest.
simp is, right? That's what the Sims are trying to do. The Sims are saying, okay, well, you alphas are going to be strong, but if I win this game, then I'll be the alpha.
Exactly. Because remember, the winner gets to set the rules. And
Yes.
then it does not necessarily matter, because the unwritten rules on how this fight has to go on is purely wild. If I'm the weakest physically, and I decide that, you know what, I'm not in a position to fight these guys, and I decide to poison them, you see, or wait for them, or drag them, and then wait for them to sleep, and then kill all of them. Then after that, then I've got 5 women after that, or I've got 5 women, or I've got a woman after that. You see, so it does not necessarily. The winner is not necessarily going to be the strongest in terms of muscles. By the strongest, I mean is the one that's going to the one that has had more chances of survival, or that has basically won whatever battle. Yes.
The one that's there to procreate, because the ones that aren't there to procreate die, and they die along with the strongest, who then procreates, but then at least his seed or his future then will keep on going, and the others won't.
Yes. That's exactly what happens. It's like that in all animals. It's like that even with human beings. It's like that with basically all animals. That is how the ones that the reason that you are here and I'm here is because maybe 10,000 years ago, the one that you are carrying his genes decided that, no, I'm gonna have to be the one winning here, and then I'm gonna fuck all the others up. You see, that's basically what happened. But as we grow, as the society goes, and then we moved into times, for example, into other aspects of this whole evolution thing, being, for example, also diseases came into place as well, and all that. But then now we are at a point now whereby we still have a lot of men who cannot be able to, who are not given a chance. We are not sort of given a chance to even procreate. And then we have got men who are given multiple chances to procreate. It happens like that even in animals, even in all other mammals. That's exactly how it happens, you see. So the idea of this whole thing actually shows that for them, it is actually even better for the man to be polygamous, because in that way he can be able to multiply himself and then build a society that he can be able to control, because now that he can be able to have an influence or control, because it is part of him, it's an extension of him. If we know currently that numbers in terms of, for example, in terms of war, numbers mean everything. That's also why you see most kings and all that, they will procreate more than the average human, because if I have 20 kids, then that means I potentially have about 20 soldiers that are going to be on my side. And if I come to your village and then you only decided to have 2 kids, and then with 1 woman, that means I can easily, it's 2 against 20. So it's basically just pure biology, pure, well, economics. It's 2 versus 20. We come, we wipe, and then we take it.
There's a timer on this thing. I think maybe this live will end. I'm not sure what's going on. But if it does, there's like 10 seconds. If it does, I'll create another one.